is Dr. Eddie Connor. And Dr. Connor comes to us quite accomplished. He has a number of achievements under his belt. I'm still smiling because he has been very patient with us. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about who he is and what he has done. He's been listed in the Michigan Chronicle as being one of the top 40 under 40. That's always an interesting accomplishment. I guess he will tell us that. Dr. Connor is a best-selling author. He is a college professor and an international speaker. He is author of Dear Queen, Wife, and Woman. So he's going to tell us a little bit about that. And he has been the recipient of the Presidential Award from former President Barack Obama. Dr. Connor, how nice to see you this evening.
Likewise, it's great to see with you. Great to see you and be with you as well.
So tell us a little bit about. I see here where you have written books on women, books for women, about women, and I just want to know what was the motivation behind that. I want to talk about one of them. It says, "Dear Queen." You know, we are on and we see everybody calling everybody Queen. So tell us, what do you mean by Dear Queen?
Yeah, well, if God ever made anything better than a woman, he must have kept it for himself.
Wow.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yes,
So tell me
yes,
about
indeed.
that. So what is
So,
Dear?
so yeah, everybody calls, their sisters or whoever queen, but for me, queen means quintessentially unique, empowering everyone naturally. I believe
Mm-hmm.
real queens don't compete, they collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
Real queens aren't just focused on a man, they're focused on their purpose and plan. Real queens understand that their royalty demands loyalty. As a result, they wear their crown and they build their queendom in the kingdom of God.
Real queens understand that their loyalty,
Their
their
royalty demands loyalty.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they're too unique to compete, too rare to compare. And so queens wear their crown. And so, as Malcolm X suggested, the most neglected, unprotected, and disrespected woman on the planet is the Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in the midst of all of that going on, I think us as men, especially Black men, have to lift our sisters to a new level and really celebrate their growth and their progress. And so, that's why I've written those books, Dear Queen, Woman, and Wife.
Dr. Connor, that is amazing. Their loyal, their
Yes,
royal man's loyalty. That is amazing.
absolutely.
Too unique to compare. Those are fighting words. That sounds like something that I should adopt. Uh, I see you're also a professor. Um, uh, if you're a college professor, I have a sister who is a college professor as well, and it's one of the most interesting things to speak to her because she has such a varied opinion on the issues of the day. So, as a college professor, the young people with whom you come in contact with, how do you impart to them some of these ideas, such as how to be a woman who is admired and how should men treat women?
Well, I think in that aspect, it is reciprocal. I also think it is not so much ontological, but it is relatable in the whole aspect of self-education. I believe formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. And so being able to being able to have some insight into who it is that you are. I believe 2023 is a year of identity, but also intentionality. And so being really intentional about your purpose, about who it is that you are, and being able to make productive progress one towards another. And I think it is what Dr. George Fraser said, once you learn and earn, then you must return back to your community. And so your community is where you are, who it's who you surround yourself with. And being your brother's keeper, your sister's protector is what it's all about.
Doctor, you do you I'm going to just ask you this. You need to be on radio every day. I want I wake up every day. You should be on television every day imparting these words of wisdom. Your words are powerful. and very uplifting. I envy the people who are in your mentorship program. I see that you're also the founder of Eagles Academy. You want to tell me a little bit,
Yes.
how many young people are in? Who are they? Where do they come from? And what's the program like?
Yes, well, the Eagles Academy is an online community where we empower people to soar into success and purpose. And so we focus on God, goals, gifts, and greatness. We also focus on how to increase your income, your impact, your ideas, and your influence. And so we've
Mm-hmm.
got people who are local as well as global, far reaching all the way to London, throughout these yet to be United States of America as well. And so we've got businessmen and women. We've got individuals who understand that they've got to be a community innovator who's a leader. People who create websites, people who are building businesses, people who have companies, and so it's a mixed bag of individuals who just have a desire to get better in their relationships, in their business, in their purpose. And so we do live sessions
Mm-hmm.
every single Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm teaching the sessions. We just did a session last night on peace, purpose, and productivity, and peace, purpose, profit, and productivity. And so uh, people can get registered and join us for any of our
Mm-hmm.
sessions and be a part of our amazing academy community
Mm-hmm.
of accountability partners at www.theeaglesacademy.com.
So the Eagles Academy is open to anyone. It's online. It's an,
Yes.
and you learn more than just school stuff. You learn how to be productive and to be peaceful and to be purposeful.
Oh, without a doubt. It's a transformative community of people who just desire to get better. And you're around individuals, I believe you don't just go as far as your dream, you go as far as your team. And so if you spread your wings, you're going to win.
Um,
Yeah. Mount up with wings as an eagle.
Amazing. You are
Yes.
simply amazing. Tell me a little bit about, I'm reading your the topics that you speak on, and I have found, just like you have, one of the things that people ask when you go out to speak is, I want to know my purpose. I want to know,
Mm,
why am I here? And I imagine, especially as we watched Monday evening the events at Michigan State unfold, we send up prayers to the families who are affected, all of us in the Michigan State University community.
yes.
Uh,
Absolutely.
it truly, tell me this, how important it is for someone to know their purpose for living. What would you say to someone who is asking that question?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially as you just recall the tragedy of what took place at MSU, and we're seeing tragedy become so normalized, and how traumatic of an event it is for people, especially who are not desensitized to calamity and chaos that affects people who we know and people who we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely our heart goes out to those families of the victims who we lost. And I think purpose calls to mind that a job is what you're paid for, but your calling and your purpose is what you're made for. And I
Mm-hmm.
think every single individual is going to ask the question, who am I? Where am I going?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want out of life? Who do I want coming with me in
Mm-hmm.
some aspect? There's a birth date, there's a death date, but there's also a dash in between. And that speaks to what is the purpose of who it is that we are. And I think that purpose speaks to the why. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what were we created to do, and
Mm-hmm.
what comes natural to us,
Mm-hmm.
because people can work a job but still not find any joy. And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to find what that purpose and what that passion is, and how to align the two to where you're now a productive asset to the community and also to somebody else. And so I think you live differently, you think differently, you surround yourself with people who reflect where you're going and the future of what it is that you have, versus being around individuals who are drama and dream killers. And so
Amen.
finding out your purpose puts you on the road to destiny.
Man alive. Those are certainly, those are very impactful words. Those are very purposeful words. The dream killers, huh?
Yes,
You must have been
absolutely.
years ago when I wrote about that, how there are people lives for a reason and a season, and some of them are dream killers. Discover
So true.
and purposeful living. Uh, if you were to if you were to talk to someone today, you are a survivor of cancer, 23 years. That's amazing. We give God thanks for that.
Yes.
But if you got a chance to speak to someone who perhaps has been diagnosed and who has to, as you say in one of your topics, how do you live through dying places?
Mm. Wow, such a powerful question. I've always been in conversation, past, present, about this. Nobody's ever asked me that question. What would I say to somebody? I'm sure you know, especially coming from Jamaica, the great Faye Ellington,
Yes.
off profile.
Mm-hmm.
I had an opportunity to be profiled by her and
Mm-hmm.
interviewed on her show. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're a stalwart as well with her as an interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
What I would tell someone, is especially is the greatest battle is not what you see externally, but it's how you fight internally. For me, overcoming cancer, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
finding the can in cancer. You think about the word cancer, the first three letters in cancer spells can. Sometimes we're fighting a battle that already tells us the solution. And I think
Oh,
it is.
wow. You are killing me tonight.
We're asking the question and the answer's right there.
I am coming to
Uh,
your next thing. Sign me up. 1-800 Kelly, sign me up.
but
Say
we
that.
got you. We got you. Um,
That's
I
beautiful,
think for me,
Victor.
yeah, yeah,
The solution is the solution is in
yeah,
the answer. That's
yeah,
powerful.
yeah,
Is that what happened to you when you were diagnosed? How old? It was 23 years ago. So that's
yeah,
some time.
yeah. I was diagnosed at 15, and so um, I I had to have an epiphany because I wanted to give up. I was depressed. I was discombobulated. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to throw in the towel. I was ready to go. And you
Mm.
know, it was my praying mother who fought for me to live when I wanted to die. Uh,
Mm.
because yeah, you know, cancer crisis and you're losing your hair, self-confidence, self-esteem,
Mm.
radiation, chemotherapy, 5 days a week. My own biological father never visited me one day in the hospital. The people I thought were praying for me were literally praying on me, sitting on the sideline expecting my demise. People who were people of faith were doubting if I was gonna make it.
God
And
bless
so yeah, I started to doubt myself. And I actually, my mother, with the guidance of a doctor, said, take your son on a vacation. And my mother took me to the place where I grew up, Kingston, Jamaica.
you. Mm-hmm.
And she took me to Jamaica, and I did my first message at a church, and it was called "Destined to Overcome the Odds." Here's something that's gonna knock your red Louboutin heels off. When I
Mm.
printed the message out, it didn't print out in black ink, and I had enough ink in it. It printed out in red. And so it was just indicative of the fact that the blood was over my life.
The blood
That, that,
covered you. Ooh.
that's right. The blood was covering me. And so those people prayed for me
Ooh.
after I had given my message. And it
Mm-hmm.
was the prayers of the saints in Jamaica that gave me the wherewithal. And when I came back to the States, I had a new state of mind,
Mm.
you know, to where I said, I'm going to beat this thing. I'm going to live through dying places. I'm going to bounce back from a setback. My mom told me, she said, everybody gets knocked down, but a knockdown is not a knockout unless you stay down.
Wow.
You got to get back up again.
I want to meet
And
her.
yes.
Her. Knockdown is not. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm blessed to live through and overcome.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I see where after that you began being established in your faith. You began
Yeah.
empowering people, and you've been doing it ever since, leading and succeeding academically. You're also a college professor, so
Yes.
a few degrees with which you have been educated. But I want you to tell us what are the principles to unlocking the door to your royal identity? I mean, you speak to these subjects. These are powerful. If nobody else has gotten anything, I'm so glad this is being recorded because I'm going to go back and listen. Oh, it's not a knock. When you're knocked down, it's not a knockout. Did you hear that? That's empowering, and hopeful and optimistic for someone who is going through it, living through dying places. That's the whole title of your next book.
Right.
Well, you don't write it, I will. I swear one of the subjects you speak about is the principles to unlocking the door to your royal identity, transitioning from a survive to thrive mentality. How would you, when we look at the students who we all watch this event taking place right there, I myself, my daughter is a junior, so she had just left campus and was back in her apartment when she got the email to run hide flight. So she screenshot it and sent it to me and said, "Mom, what's this?" So you can imagine you're at home. It's Monday night. It's almost 8:30. You're getting ready to retire for the day. And you get that. And it felt like stuff was just, how would you speak to the students today and to anyone who has survived any kind of traumatic thing like that? How do you go from surviving to thriving?
Oof. It's so heavy. It's a lot to unpack
Mm-hmm.
because you're dealing with the psychological trauma of what it is that you either experienced, indirectly or directly for what it is that you saw or what you heard, and even the trepidation going back to that campus, trepidation of
Mm-hmm.
going to a funeral, all of those things. And I think counseling and therapy is needed and necessary. Being able to unpack what it is that you've experienced or the friends that you encountered one way, shape, or the other who have now lost their lives due to somebody's inhumane treatment to take another life. It calls into question to be able to pause and to be able to think about how blessed you are just to be able to take your next breath. Every breath is a blessing, and so being able to talk and even hash out your emotions and your feelings, being able to be vulnerable about what it is that you're dealing with or what it is that you could have been in that situation, just like your daughter. And but if not for the grace of God, there go any of us.
Amen.
And so, yeah, and so to be able to find somebody that you can talk to, Scripture says in the multitude of counselors there is safety. And so, and just calling into question, just as much as we say, watch your back, be aware of your surroundings, you know, you shouldn't have to watch. It's hard to watch your back and move forward at the same time.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch your back when you think
Yeah.
somebody who's going to go to the same school as you, much less to live in the area, would have your back. So, I think just being able to be emotionally sound and really practice some emotional intelligence and awareness is needed and necessary, especially in this day and time and this season that we're living in.
Believe it or not, those are some kind. That is just incredible. Your words knocked me. Your words knocked. It made me think. But it's interesting what you have said about people finding counsel, and as the Bible says, in the mouth of many witnesses, a thing is confirmed. Safety in finding counseling, and I imagine that as the students themselves will be presented with opportunities for counseling, but there are still some of us who, having survived traumatic events, traumatic life experiences, there are still some of us who still will not seek counsel. And as a result of not going to the counsel, not seeking cognitive behavioral therapy or all of it, what happens is that we end up either being re-traumatized, or what do we do,
Mm.
Doc? We traumatize someone else by our actions. I am curious about what would you say to anyone who might be listening or watching, who for whom life has presented them with a series of challenges, yeah, and
Yeah.
who have been traumatized. What would you say to them about taking care of themselves? Is counseling a form of self-care?
Undoubtedly, without a doubt, it is counseling is a form of self-care, and I think, as you even alluding to, hurting people hurt people, but healed people heal people. And so, being able to be the person who is going to experience healing, to where
Yeah.
now you can heal others. The healing that you
Ooh.
want other people to experience first begins with yourself.
Yeah.
And so, I think everybody has a fragile do not drop label on their lives.
Uh-huh.
And oftentimes we have slipped through the cracks. We have slipped through the hands of the people who are supposed to heal us and help us. We've had
Mm.
Mephibosheth moments being in the hands of a nurse, but they dropped us. And so I don't think it's up to us to limp through life, but be
Mm-hmm.
around people who can help us to turn that limp into a leap. And I think we have to take the leap by doing things that are unconventional. We have to take the leap by doing things that are uncomfortable. The most dangerous place you can be in life is not when you're walking on water, but when you're staying in the boat. And so, in many cases, the boat becomes a place of shallow living. And if you are going to go into the depth of what it is that you are and who it is that you are, you've got to be around people who are counselors, people who are therapists, who can pull out of you the abscess of what it is that tries to make a chokehold on your life. And so that's not just calling into question because women are more prone to do it than us as men. But us as men, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to take the leap to be able to do it because we're really, we want to act as if we're Superman, but we're really Clark Kent. We want to act as if we're Black Panther, but we're really T'Challa. We're not really the Hulk, we're really David Banner.
Mm.
And wearing the cape all the time makes us have a chokehold. It puts us in a chokehold. Until we take off the mask and heal from our past, we're always going to suffocate on success.
You are a healer. You, my friend, you are a healer. And I dare say you're called for a time like this. You are that voice. You are these words. I am telling you, I listen to a plethora of preachers. I listen to a plethora of speakers. I have not heard these words. I have not heard this contextually. I have not heard this. My word, you remind me of there is a man from Texas, TD Jakes. You may have heard of him
Once or twice.
once or twice. Yeah, you remind me of TD 30 years ago.
Wow.
Believe
Wow.
it or not, 30 years ago, that was me. A moment of self
Mm,
transformation. That was me 30 years ago. I lived in Central Florida. I was married to an abusive man. And TD
mm,
Jakes was lighting the world up with The Woman Thou Art Loosed. And he had written that groundbreaking book. And some woman whom I had never met before, I can't even tell you what her name is, was driving past my house. I lived in this unknown subdivision off I-4
mm,
between Orlando and Deltona, Florida. Between Orlando and Daytona. And she said,
mm,
I told her to come and bring me that book, Woman Thou Art Loosed. So I went to look this guy up. I started watching Christian television to look him up. That's who you remind me of. Those are
wow.
powerful,
Wow. That,
powerful. Those are fighting words. And these are the words that today's generation need to hear. Michigan Chronicle might
mm,
refer to you as one of the top 40, under 40 in Detroit. You are the top one. Your words,
wow.
your words are cross generational. These are words that are penetrative, and they will listen to you because you're just like them. Men today need to hear this from you. I tell you
Mm,
that. Uh, we're going to talk a little bit about victory in the face of doubt and distractions, because as a man of color, as an immigrant, yeah, a foreign
yeah.
born, huh? and having had to survive the cancer, you found a way to take the can out of cancer. I just want you to, I don't know if you want to stay with us longer. It's up to you. But I want you to tell victory in the face of doubt and distractions.
Yeah, I think victory in the face of adversity is really a mentality. It
Mm,
is the greatest battle is what you're fighting between your ears.
mm-hmm,
It's the battle of the mind, and I think
mm-hmm.
um, oftentimes the greatest enemy is the inner me. Think about that. The greatest
The
enemy is
greatest enemy
oftentimes the
is
inner me.
the
Yeah,
inner me.
yeah,
You are
yeah.
blessed.
So
Words. Wow. I
yeah,
tell you,
yeah.
just talking energy. It's so important for us and for people to understand that when the energy, the aura of a person, when you go into a space, your aura goes before you.
Mm,
If you're on the
mm,
aura is transmitted through it. And it's so important to have that realization because your aura is built on these ideas, these topics. These are not just topics, these are lived experiences.
yeah.
Finding the candidates or overcoming obstacles, establishing and maintaining your faith, leading and succeeding academically, and discovering your why and your purpose for living. You make me
Yeah,
all
yeah.
talk about something about relationships and loving yourself and knowing your worth because as I look around today, Doc, we can talk about this forever. All these young people who are killing themselves and killing their brothers and their friends. Sometimes I have to ask myself, do you know yourself? Do you value yourself? Do you love yourself? Do they even know what they're worth?
Mm,
Tell me a little
mm.
about how do you, when you speak to folks, how do you tell them that? How do you bring them to that realization?
Yeah, love seems to just be a hashtag, or oftentimes the only time people encounter love is when they're tattooing it on their body. Uh, and they're still void of it because likes are now preeminent over love. We're living in that generation. I'd rather you like me than love me because I don't even know what love is. Love has so much pain attached and associated to it, to where people don't want anything to do with it. Because the last person told them they loved them, or when they were growing up, love was connected to abuse. Love was masqueraded in a lot of lust. And so not only do they not like themselves, they don't love themselves because they're trying to be like somebody else. They're trying to perpetuate an image that they can't even live up to. And so I think it is a recalibration internally
Mm-hmm.
of me getting to the granular level of
Mm-hmm.
being able to peer into the prism of my past. What is it that I have been through? See, the thing is, we always say life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. But this is what we do. 90% of the time, we focus on the 10% to where now the 10% becomes 100% of our lives.
My
The
God.
pain, the abuse, the heartbreak, the
Uh,
divorce was
uh,
just 10%.
uh.
What are you going to do with the rest of the 90%
Ooh,
of your life?
wow.
The 90 has to be the testimony.
Ooh.
I lived through this to be able to love myself
Ooh.
with all my frailties, with all my flaws, with the mother and the father wounds. I still was courageous enough to love me through what I went through.
Who are
That's
you
the
again?
power of love right there.
I don't we do you normally talk like this? I mean, people need to hear this. You're almost making me want to go back on radio in Detroit. I kid you not,
Wow. You need to. You need to.
because
Just
this
make
is
sure you
too
invite me as a
I will
guest.
morning. I tell you what I would do. I would have on every morning. It would be like 2 minutes with Dr. Ed.
I'd love it.
2 minutes. And we're gonna find a way to do it. Because this is, I think what you just said about loving yourself through wounds, that the mother and father wounds, and that the 10% of your life that was damaged, you have now made it to the 100%. And instead of looking at the 90%, I think I think we all need to hear that. I think it's so
Hmm.
affirming. And I think it will wake our minds up to recognize that despite the damage and the brokenness, there's still
Yeah.
there's a lot more good in me than my
Hmm.
circumstances are talking about. It's like your
Yeah.
book, 2020 Vision.
Yeah.
The clarity of mind. Man, you make me want to talk about me, and I can't begin to tell you. This is your this, this is the word for the generation, for this generation, because this
Mm,
generation, Gen Z, they're totally, they're so desensitized. They have lived through so many, my daughters tell me they have lived
mm,
through so many historic
mm.
that they know. No, I kid you not, my daughter is on this campus and just saying, Mom, I just left there half an hour ago. I was right there half an hour ago. She just finished the final of the chemistry half an hour ago. And she's, instead of being, she's just there calm because they have been what? Desensitized. This generation has
Mm.
seen so much, lived through so much, and now they're desensitized. We need them to be picked up. And I want you to do that. I want you to speak to them and tell them in these last few minutes, I want you to tell them this is something that they can do. And I want you to tell them in your personhood because you are them. You're just on the other side of it. You just took your 90% and brought the whole thing together. I want you to tell them how much they can be just as whole and there to listen to you. Can you do that for me?
Without a doubt. Uh, Such a poignant moment. I think finding triumph from tragedy is about all about discovering your truth for transformation. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. put it this way. He said, "Even if I knew tomorrow the world would go to pieces, today I would still plant my apple tree." And
Mm,
so, still finding a way to do something good in the midst of all of the bad that is going on. When
mm-hmm,
you've been from tragedy to tragedy to tragedy,
mm,
how can you find strategy in the midst of a tragedy? For
mm,
all of us who have experienced what has been going on, I think there's got to be a level of groupthink. There's got to be a level of coming
mm-hmm,
together to strategize, mobilize, and organize what we can do as a community to try to offset violence,
mm-hmm,
to try to take care of the homeless, to care for the least, the lost, the last, the left out, the overlooked, the underserved, and the underrepresented. It is the
mm-hmm,
personal identification of caring for yourself and how you've triumphed from tragedy because you're still here.
mm-hmm,
But how do you save another life? How do you help somebody else come through what it is that you've been through and what you've experienced? And I
mm-hmm,
think that becomes the tenor of our purpose. There's been so many great things that have been built coming out of tragedy
mm-hmm,
because people had a strategy. I don't know what that strategy might be for you to develop an organization. I don't know what that strategy might be for you to unlock your purpose. I don't know what that strategy might be, but
mm,
everybody is gifted. The tragedy is to never open the package. The tragedy is to never use what's in the package.
mm.
You're a red box on a gold boat. You're a gift to the world. You got to unlock and unleash your gift to be able to bless somebody else and to be able to help the world. I believe that the world is waiting on you to be who you are so they can become who they're supposed to be. It's about being courageous. It's about being fearless. Fearless doesn't mean your fear is absent. You just fear less than most so that you can
Mm.
now do most with your potential. To whom much is given, much is required.
I want to tell you something right now. You have just blessed me. This was supposed to be me discovering about you. Instead, you unlocked some ideas. You have motivated me in ways that are unimaginable. I want to tell you that God blesses you, and I pray the blessings of God upon your life. And I pray that you continue to find ways to bring this message And I know your publicist is a great person. I know she's going to find ways to bring you in front of the people and in front of those who need to hear what you have to say. You are rich. You are rich. Your words are, I cannot tell you enough. It's almost, I have never met someone like you who has a,
Wow. Wow.
I mean, you listen to people speak, and I've sat under great
Mhm.
speakers, and they will have a word in season, maybe 2 or 3 words or 2 or 3 sentences. But in the last 25 minutes, you have been on it over and over and over. And I want to tell you, thank you for that. It's been an honor for me. I don't know how all these folks whom you have been photographed with, you've been on NBC, BET, ABC, Fox, you've been on CBS, yes, the Word Network, you've been photographed with everyone. I believe they probably are saying the same things I'm saying, that you are unforgettable for real, that you truly
Appreciate
are. And you're a blessing.
it.
You're a blessing to our community. It's a blessing to have you, and know that you are a resource in the community. And I trust that the academy that you have will continue to find ways to affect and impact young minds and others who are seeking to find a way to cope with the 10% to make them
Yes.
the 100%.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, they say that part of your extensive experience is that you have spoken in South Africa. Obviously, you've also spoken throughout Jamaica, but you've also spoken in South Africa. So, out of my curiosity, I've never been to Africa or even South Africa, but out of, is there, do you see any similarities between young people there as you see right here in our community in Detroit?
I do. It is a hunger to be great. I think maybe even the thirst for the hunger to be great is even greater in South Africa. Um, when it's as much as Western media would like to believe that people from who are from Africa are nothing but savages, which is totally ridiculous.
Totally.
They, they're technologically savvy, they're industry wise. I mean, many of the celebrities that we know have residences in South Africa. They go there to vacation,
Mm-hmm.
Joburg and other places around
Mm-hmm.
South Africa and throughout the continent.
Yeah.
So I think it is a great gathering of especially young millennials over there who are pulling their resources together, who are adopting the mindset in the midst of divisiveness, in the midst of being segmented, that we have to be united, that we're better together. And
Mm-hmm.
so I see it in the technology, I see it in creating businesses, I see it in uh, people who are developing their own energy drinks,
Mm-hmm.
their own soft drinks, just creating something from nothing because they understand that if they don't come from a wealthy family, then a wealthy family must come from them.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's amazing. You see that? That's key right there.
yeah,
That is key. That is a
yeah.
key component to say, because as we talk about economics and as we
Hmm.
talk about people matriculating and so on, people need to understand, because I find that this generation more so less, I'm Gen X, yeah. So my generation, we grew up thinking we had to make it, and we were comfortable with that, right? But I
Hmm.
find that this next generation believes that if they don't have it already, then they shouldn't be making it. It should have been given to them. So if they don't have it, they're not moving in a direction. They don't think as if it should come. They look at, well, the economy is bad. This is wrong, and then they look at the people who are the icons of the culture, the cultural icons, and they say, well, I'll never be like that, or I would have to be like them in order to make it. But here's what you're saying. What you're saying is that if I don't come from wealth, then I do what? Say it again, bros. You said the
Yeah,
wealth must
yeah, yeah.
come from,
If you don't come from a wealthy family, then a wealthy family must
must
come from you.
come
I
from
was
you.
just, yeah, I was just speaking at Cass Tech High School. Speaking of Detroit youth, I
Mm-hmm.
met two young men one started a software, an app for being able to connect other people. He said, "Hey, I'm not just going to use social media. I'm going to create something with it." Then I met
Mhm.
another young man who was wearing a shirt, a hoodie that he had styled, he had designed, that he had created, and they're both on the news for doing something good in their neighborhood, for being not just spending money, not just being a purchaser, but being a producer, not just being a consumer, but being a creator. And I think that's where it is that we are.
I think that's where we ought to be headed
Yeah.
as we around us. That you're talking
Mhm.
about empowerment through education and economic development,
Yeah.
as you see your perspective and how to lead and succeed academically. But there are other kinds of achievements as well. As the young man said, he's developing an app.
Mhm.
That is something that could potentially obviate him requiring academics. Yeah. Somebody else is developing, creating a hoodie that is apparel. And
Yeah.
absolutely,
Right.
these are life skills that enrich a person. Yeah. These are life
Oh,
skills.
without a
This,
doubt. Yeah.
without a doubt,
Mhm.
this is interesting. It has been an honor to speak with you. But before I go, I you have another book coming out on top of all the other books that you have written. So you want to tell us a little bit about what that one is about?
Book number 15 is coming. Um, it's coming sometime this year. I'm endeavoring to uh, finalize it and get it out. I really am going to impress on the whole aspect of redefining who it is that we are. I think COVID and the pandemic kind of put us in a precarious position to
Mhm.
where everybody's trying to figure out what their new normal
Yeah.
is. And normal is not behind us, normal is ahead of us. And so whether
Mm-hmm.
it's from the church, whether it's to the community,
Yeah.
whether it's just the culture at large, we're trying to redefine where it is that we go,
Mm-hmm.
and while remaining rooted. And so I'm working with that juncture of an idea,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see what the title will be soon.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely want you to get your hands on the copy for sure.
Well, I am looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to there will be future opportunities for us to talk some more about it. Dr. Eddie, if anyone wants to invite you to speak or to hear more information about you or where your next event will be, where can they find you?
I'd love to say the revolution not only be televised, it'll be digitized. So all you have to do, drop me a DM, drop me an inbox on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Eddie Connor Jr. EDDIECONNORJR. You can email info@eddieconnor.com. My amazing publicist Kelly does great work. So whether I'm at a church, I come to your church, I come to your college, I come to your school, I come to your conference, your community center, whatever the case may be. Just know that you better buckle up your seatbelt and get ready to be empowered.
And that, my friend, is all he has written today. It does, and it does, and it does, and it does. I could speak with him forever. I could speak with him all evening. I'm pretty sure there are kernels of wisdom, but I don't want to drag him out to save just a little bit of himself for the next time and the next time.
Yeah.
It truly has been an honor, and it has been great getting to know you and to hear your perspectives on the issues that matter. This is what we talk about, down to earth. We try to make it as down to earth as possible. Kind of went a little too down to earth earlier, but
We're soaring in the stratosphere now. It's okay.
yeah, we kind of got out of that. I want to thank you so much for being my guest this evening on Down to
Oh, I
Earth.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Your words have been empowering, and I want you to know you have earned a fan tonight. I am going to listen, and I want everybody to hear what you have to say. I think you are the man for this moment. I
Wow.
think you're the voice
Wow.
that we need to hear, that we need to hear from. Thank you so much, Dr. Connor.
Thank
Have a
you so
good
much
evening.
as well. I
Have,
appreciate you. You're truly an amazing voice. Your show is called Down to Earth, but tonight you put us in order. orbit. So I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. Be blessed. And
Thanks, you
that
too.